For most of human history, the world did not smell the way it does now. The air carried meanings that modern people rarely notice anymore. Scents were not background details. They were messages. They marked identity, belief, power, memory, and emotion. To the ancient world, scent was a language. It spoke without words. It traveled invisibly. It lingered long after a person had gone. Before writing was widespread, before books preserved ideas, before images could be copied and shared, scent was one of the most powerful tools humans had to communicate something lasting. A single fragrance could signal devotion to a god. Another could mark royal authority. Another could mean mourning, healing, love, or protection. These meanings were understood instinctively by the people who lived among them. They did not need explanation. The scent itself carried the message. Today, much of that language is lost. We can read ancient texts. We can study ruins. We can translate inscriptions carved in stone. But scent does not survive the way words do. Oils evaporate. Resins crumble. Perfumes fade into nothing. What remains are fragments. Mentions in texts. Residue in containers. Stains in stone. Descriptions written by people who assumed everyone already understood what the scent meant. To understand ancient perfumes is to reconstruct a forgotten world using traces so subtle they are almost invisible. And yet, these scents once shaped daily life in ways that are difficult to imagine now. In ancient civilizations, smell was not cosmetic. It was essential. Cleanliness, health, and spirituality were deeply connected to scent. To smell wrong was not merely unpleasant. It could be dangerous. It could be offensive to the gods. It could mark a person as sick, impure, or socially outcast. To smell right was to belong. In Mesopotamia, some of the earliest known perfume recipes were recorded on clay tablets more than 4,000 years ago. These were not luxury items in the modern sense. They were carefully prepared substances used in temples, medicine, and ritual. Priests burned aromatic woods and resins not just for atmosphere, but because they believed the gods consumed scent the way humans consumed food. Smoke rising from incense was seen as nourishment for divine beings. If the scent was pleasing, the gods were satisfied. If it was wrong, they might turn away. This belief shaped entire economies. Long-distance trade routes existed largely to transport fragrant materials. Frankincense, myrrh, cedar, cinnamon, and exotic resins moved across deserts and seas, sometimes worth more than gold by weight. Caravans crossed harsh landscapes not for food or weapons, but for scent. In ancient Egypt, perfume was woven into every level of existence. The gods themselves were believed to smell sweet. Temples were perfumed daily. Statues were anointed with oils infused with flowers, spices, and resins. The famous Kifi incense, a complex blend of more than a dozen ingredients, was burned each evening in temples and homes alike. It was believed to calm the mind, invite good dreams, and align the human body with cosmic order. Kifi was not a single scent. It changed slightly depending on who made it, where it was prepared, and what ingredients were available. Each version carried subtle differences, yet all were understood as Kifi. This flexibility was part of the language of scent. Meaning mattered more than precision. Perfume in Egypt was also deeply tied to the body. Oils were applied not only for fragrance, but for protection against the dry climate and insects. Cones of scented fat were sometimes worn on the head during feasts, slowly melting and releasing fragrance over time. To be perfumed was to be alive. To die without scent was unthinkable. In burial rituals, bodies were carefully washed and anointed with aromatic substances. This was not done to mask decay alone. It was believed that scent guided the soul. A well-scented body ensured a smoother passage into the afterlife. The dead needed fragrance as much as the living. Across the ancient Mediterranean, the Greeks inherited and transformed these ideas. For them, scent was linked to balance. Too much perfume was considered excessive. Too little suggested neglect. The ideal fragrance was subtle, harmonious, and natural. Athletes Athletes anointed their bodies with oils before competition. Philosophers debated the moral implications of luxury scents. Physicians prescribed aromatic substances for both physical and mental ailments. Hippocrates himself believed that certain smells could restore balance within the body. Disease, in many ancient theories, was associated with foul odors. Healing involved restoring pleasant scent. The Romans later expanded perfume culture into something vast and extravagant. Public baths were saturated with fragrance. Oils were used after bathing, during massage, and before social gatherings. Different scents marked different stages of the day. There were perfumes for morning, afternoon, and evening. There were scents for the home, for clothing, for hair, for animals. The wealthy consumed enormous quantities of imported aromatics. Entire industries existed to supply Roman demand. Yet even here, scent remained a language. Certain fragrances were associated with status, others with mourning. Some were linked to foreign cultures and carried exotic connotations. A Roman could smell a stranger and guess where they came from. Beyond the Mediterranean, other civilizations developed their own scent traditions. In ancient India, perfumes were closely tied to spirituality and medicine. Ayurvedic texts describe aromatic plants and oils used to balance the body's energies. Scents were believed to influence mood, thought, and spiritual awareness. Temples were perfumed. Bodies were perfumed. Even written manuscripts were sometimes scented, allowing knowledge itself to carry fragrance. In ancient China, incense was used not only for ritual but for timekeeping. Certain incense sticks burned at known rates, allowing hours to be measured by scent. Time itself became aromatic. Scent marked moments. In Mesoamerica, resins like copal were burned in ceremonies to communicate with gods and ancestors. The rising smoke carried prayers upward. The smell was believed to open pathways between worlds. Without scent, the ritual was incomplete. What unites all these cultures is not the specific ingredients they used, but how they understood smell. Scent was not decoration. It was connection. It linked humans to gods, bodies to souls, present moments to memory. Modern perfumery, for all its sophistication, rarely carries this depth of meaning. Today, fragrance is personal preference. In the ancient world, it was shared understanding. A language everyone spoke, even if unconsciously. As you listen now, you may notice the absence of scent in the story. You hear words, but you cannot smell them. This distance is part of what makes ancient perfumes so mysterious. We are reading a language we can no longer hear fully. Yet traces remain. And in those traces, we can begin to reconstruct how ancient people experienced their world not just through sight and sound, but through breath itself. The lost language of scent is not gone entirely. It waits quietly, preserved in fragments, ready to be remembered. As ancient societies grew more complex, so did their relationship with scent. Perfume became not only a spiritual or medicinal tool, but a marker of social order. Who was allowed to wear certain fragrances and when often followed unspoken rules. In some cultures, specific scents were reserved for priests or royalty. To wear them without permission was to cross an invisible boundary. Smell could announce power before a single word was spoken. In ancient temples, scent was part of architecture. Walls absorbed incense over generations. Stones held fragrance long after rituals ended. Entering a sacred space meant stepping into an atmosphere shaped by centuries of repeated aroma. The smell itself signaled holiness. Even today, archaeologists sometimes describe an unexpected scent released when sealed chambers are opened. It is not the original perfume, but something altered by time. Still, it hints at how deeply fragrance once saturated daily life. In homes, scent marked transitions. The beginning of a meal. The end of mourning. The arrival of a guest. Aromatic oils were warmed, resins burned, herbs crushed by hand. These actions slowed time. Preparing scent required patience. Ingredients were gathered seasonally. Some flowers bloomed only briefly. Resins hardened slowly. Oils absorbed fragrance over weeks or months. Nothing was rushed. The act of making perfume was itself a ritual. Recipes were guarded carefully. Knowledge passed from teacher to student, parent to child. Written records were rare and often intentionally vague. Precise proportions were hidden, ensuring that mastery required experience rather than instruction alone. This secrecy preserved both quality and meaning. In many ancient cultures, the ability to blend scent was considered a form of wisdom. It required understanding nature, balance, and restraint. Too much of one ingredient could ruin everything. Harmony mattered more than intensity. The materials themselves carried stories. Frankincense came from trees that grew in harsh environments, producing resin only when wounded. Myrrh, bitter and complex, was associated with both healing and death. Cinnamon traveled thousands of miles from unknown lands, wrapped in mystery and myth. Some believed it was harvested from dangerous cliffs or guarded by monstrous birds. These stories elevated the ingredients beyond their physical properties. To burn a resin was to release not only its scent, but its narrative. As trade expanded, scent became one of the earliest global commodities. Long before silk or porcelain reached distant shores, aromatics moved quietly across borders. Perfume connected worlds that never met directly. A Roman wearing an oil scented with Indian spikenard carried a piece of another culture on their skin. An Egyptian temple burning resin from Arabia filled its halls with foreign breath. Scents collapsed distance. They made the unfamiliar intimate. Yet not all scents were meant to please. Some were deliberately sharp or heavy. In certain rituals, strong odors were used to ward off evil, drive away disease, or mark moments of transition. Birth, death, and initiation were often accompanied by intense aroma. These scents were not chosen for comfort. They were chosen for effect. The ancient understanding of smell included discomfort as well as pleasure. To smell something powerful was to be reminded of forces beyond human control. This belief extended into early medicine. Before the discovery of germs, many cultures believed illness traveled through bad air. Miasma, or corrupted atmosphere, was thought to cause disease. Treatment often involved filling spaces with pleasant or pungent scents to counteract the invisible threat. Hospitals, homes, and streets were perfumed during outbreaks. Scent became a form of protection. Even emotions were believed to have odors. Fear, grief, and anger were sometimes described as having a smell. Calm and balance were associated with gentle fragrance. Language itself absorbed these ideas. Words related to purity, corruption, sweetness, and bitterness often carried both moral and olfactory meaning. To live well was to smell right. Over time, as religions evolved, scent retained its symbolic power. Incense remained central to worship in many traditions. Smoke rising upward continued to represent communication between human and divine. The scent itself was believed to carry intention. A prayer without fragrance felt incomplete. Yet with the rise of new technologies and shifting beliefs, the central role of scent slowly diminished. Writing, architecture, and visual art began to dominate how meaning was preserved. Scent, difficult to record and reproduce, became secondary. What cannot be easily stored is often forgotten. Still, scent never disappeared entirely. It lingered at the edges of culture, in rituals, medicine, and personal adornment. It waited quietly as the world changed. Now, centuries later, scientists and historians are beginning to rediscover this lost language. Chemical analysis allows residue to be identified in ancient vessels. Experimental archaeology attempts to recreate ancient perfumes using historical methods. These reconstructions are imperfect, but they offer glimpses. Moments when the past feels briefly present. To smell an approximation of an ancient perfume is to experience history differently. It bypasses logic and enters memory directly. It creates emotion without explanation. This is the power scent once held every day. As you continue listening, let these ideas drift gently. There is no need to hold on to details. The story unfolds slowly like fragrance itself, layer by layer, breath by breath. Time moves forward quietly, and the lost language of scent continues to whisper even now. As researchers attempt to rebuild these ancient fragrances, they quickly discover how much knowledge has slipped through time. Written recipes rarely tell the full story. An ingredient might be listed without preparation instructions. A plant name may refer to something entirely different today. Measurements are often poetic rather than precise. A handful, a pinch, enough to please the gods. These phrases made sense to those who lived within the tradition. To modern readers, they feel incomplete. Yet this vagueness reveals something important. Ancient perfume was not about exact replication. It was about intention, familiarity, and context. The same recipe prepared by two different people would never smell identical. And that was acceptable. In fact, it was expected. Scent was alive. Environmental conditions mattered. Soil quality changed how plants grew. Climate altered resin production. Storage affected oils over time. Each batch reflected the moment it was created. Perfume was not frozen in identity. It evolved. This fluidity extended to how scent interacted with the human body. Ancient people understood that fragrance changed when applied to skin. Heat, sweat, and natural oils altered aroma throughout the day. A perfume was not experienced all at once. It unfolded. This made scent personal without making it private. Others recognized the fragrance, but they experienced it differently on each person. In crowded cities, this created layers of smell that modern people might find overwhelming. Markets were dense with spice, smoke, animals, human bodies, and cooking food. Ancient noses were trained differently. What we might call overpowering, they experienced as information. Smell helped people navigate their environment. It signaled danger, opportunity, or belonging. A familiar scent could guide someone home. An unfamiliar one could trigger caution. This sensory awareness extended into storytelling and memory. Before photographs and recordings, scent played a role in preserving moments. Certain fragrances were associated with specific events, places, or people. To encounter that scent again was to recall the memory instantly. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient people lived daily. Smell is deeply linked to memory and emotion. It bypasses conscious thought and reaches directly into the brain. This is why ancient rituals relied so heavily on fragrance. They were creating memory anchors. A temple smelled the same each time you entered. A funeral carried a distinct aroma. A celebration had its own fragrance profile. These smells reinforced meaning through repetition. Over a lifetime, they shaped identity. Children grew up surrounded by the sense of their culture. They learned what safety smelled like, what danger smelled like, what home smelled like. These associations stayed with them into adulthood. Even migration did not erase them completely. When people traveled, they carried small containers of familiar scents. Oils, resins, herbs. These were comforts in unfamiliar places. They recreated a sense of belonging. Scent became portable home. In times of uncertainty, fragrance offered stability. This role became especially important during periods of upheaval. Wars, plagues, and natural disasters disrupted daily life. Familiar scents provided continuity when everything else felt unstable. Lighting incense or applying oil was an act of grounding. It reminded people who they were. As empires rose and fell, scent traditions blended and shifted. Conquerors adopted local fragrances. Trade introduced new materials. Religious practices influenced how scent was used and understood. Yet the underlying language remained consistent. Scent signaled meaning beyond words. Even when written language expanded, scent continued to communicate silently. However, as modernity approached, attitudes began to change. Industrialization altered how people lived and worked. Urban sanitation improved. Strong natural odors became associated with poverty or disease. Perfume shifted from communal experience to personal accessory. Meaning narrowed. Fragrance became something chosen rather than shared. This transition marked the beginning of the lost language. Scents were no longer widely understood symbols. They became individual preferences. A profound shift. Today, when we smell something ancient recreated in a laboratory or museum, we sense its power but lack its context. The fragrance feels beautiful, strange, or unsettling, but we do not instinctively know what it means. The grammar of scent has faded. Still, fragments remain within us. Certain smells feel sacred. Others feel comforting. Some feel wrong without us knowing why. These instincts are echoes. They connect us to a time when smell guided life more directly. As you listen now, allow the story to move slowly. There is no need to interpret or analyze. Just let the ideas settle gently. Like fragrance, understanding does not arrive all at once. It lingers, it softens, it fades into calm. And in that quiet space, the lost language of scent continues to breathe, just beyond awareness, waiting to be remembered. In the modern world, scent often feels optional. A preference, a luxury, an accessory chosen for mood or style. But in the ancient world, scent was unavoidable. It filled streets, homes, temples, and bodies. It could not be switched off. There were no sealed rooms, no artificial air, no synthetic barriers between the body and the environment. To live was to smell constantly. This constant presence shaped how people understood reality. Scent was not background. It was foreground. It influenced behavior in subtle ways, guiding movement and decision without conscious thought. A market smelled different at dawn than at midday. A city smelled different before rain. A home smelled different when someone was ill. These changes were noticed. They mattered. Ancient people developed an awareness of time through smell as much as sight or sound. The day had its own aromatic rhythm. Morning fires, midday cooking, evening incense. Night carried its own quiet scent, cooler and softer. Seasonal shifts were also marked by fragrance. Blossoms appeared briefly, filling the air with sweetness. Harvest brought earth and grain. Winter carried smoke and stored food. These cycles reinforced a sense of continuity. Life moved in predictable patterns, even when events themselves were unpredictable. Scent also played a role in justice and law. In some cultures, certain odors were associated with moral corruption or criminal activity. To smell wrong could attract suspicion. Clean scent implied honesty and order. This connection between morality and smell persists subtly even today. Language reflects it. We speak of corruption as something foul, of purity as something clean or fresh. These metaphors come from ancient sensory associations. The nose once guided ethics. In intimate relationships, scent carried deep meaning. Attraction was influenced by natural body odor as much as appearance. Artificial fragrances enhanced or masked these signals, but did not replace them entirely. Love had a smell. So did grief. Mourning rituals often included specific scents designed to mark separation from ordinary life. Heavy resins, dark woods, bitter herbs. These fragrances created emotional boundaries. They told the body it was time to slow down, to withdraw, to reflect. Funeral scents were not meant to be comforting. They were meant to be unmistakable. They signaled transition. In contrast, birth and initiation rituals used lighter, brighter fragrances. Flowers, sweet oils, fresh herbs. Scent guided the emotional journey. These practices shaped how people processed major life events. The body responded before the mind fully understood. Modern societies have lost much of this sensory guidance. Events blur together. Rituals fade. Scent becomes decoration rather than structure. Something is lost in that shift. Yet humans still respond deeply to fragrance. A single smell can bring sudden memory or emotion without warning. This is not coincidence. It is inheritance. Our brains evolved in a world where smell mattered. Ancient perfumers understood this intuitively. They worked with layers, not singular notes. They blended top, heart, and base elements long before modern terminology existed. They knew how scent changed over time. They designed fragrances to unfold slowly, mirroring the pace of life itself. This patience is difficult to recreate today. Modern perfumery often prioritizes immediate impact. Ancient scent valued endurance and subtle transformation. The best perfumes were those that revealed themselves gradually. This philosophy extended beyond fragrance. It reflected how ancient people approached knowledge, relationships, and spirituality. Meaning was not rushed. It was discovered. As you listen now, the story itself follows this ancient rhythm. It unfolds without urgency. There is no destination that must be reached quickly. The journey is the experience. And just as ancient scents lingered softly in the air, these ideas can linger gently in your thoughts. There is nothing you need to remember. Nothing you need to do. Only the quiet presence of history breathing slowly, reminding you of a time when the world spoke through scent, and humans listened with every breath. As night settled over ancient cities, scent took on a different role. Darkness limited sight, but smell remained active. Fires burned low. Oils warmed slowly. Incense released its fragrance into still air. Night was not silent or empty. It was aromatic. In many cultures, evening was the most sacred time for scent. Daytime labor gave way to reflection, prayer, and rest. Fragrance marked this transition. The body recognized the change even before the mind did. Kifi in Egypt was burned at dusk for this reason. Its complex blend was believed to quiet thoughts and prepare the soul for dreams. The scent lingered through the night, creating a soft boundary between waking and sleep. Dreams themselves were thought to be influenced by fragrance. Some scents invited visions. Others protected against nightmares. Sleep was not passive. It was a state that could be shaped. Ancient bedrooms were rarely scentless. Herbs were placed near sleeping areas. Oils were rubbed onto skin. Smoke drifted gently through open spaces. To sleep without scent would have felt incomplete. In this way, fragrance accompanied people through all states of consciousness. Awake, working, worshiping, loving, grieving, dreaming. The nose never rested. As centuries passed and written language expanded, scent began to appear more often in metaphor and literature. Poets described gods as fragrant. Heroes carried distinctive aromas. Paradise was imagined as a place filled with sweet air. Hell, by contrast, was foul. These descriptions were not symbolic exaggerations. They reflected lived experience. Readers knew exactly what those scents implied. To imagine heaven was to imagine relief for the nose. In sacred texts across cultures, divine presence is often marked by fragrance. A sudden sweet smell appears without source. An ordinary space becomes sacred through aroma alone. Scent required no explanation. It announced meaning instantly. Yet because scent could not be preserved easily, it slipped through history's grasp. Paintings remained. Statues endured. Words survived. Fragrance vanished. What we study now are shadows. Containers once filled with perfume are displayed empty. Burners remain cold. Recipes are incomplete. But absence itself tells a story. It reminds us that much of human experience was never meant to be permanent. It existed in the moment. It was breathed in and gone. Ancient people understood impermanence deeply. Scent taught them this every day. A fragrance was strongest at first, then softened, then disappeared. It could not be held. Life followed the same pattern. This acceptance shaped how people related to time. Moments were valued because they could not be repeated exactly. Rituals were renewed because they faded. Meaning was refreshed through repetition, not preservation. Modern culture often seeks permanence. We record, store, archive, and replay. Ancient culture leaned toward renewal. Scent was the perfect teacher. As you listen now, notice how the story itself fades in intensity and returns gently. There is no climax, no sudden turn. This mirrors the ancient sensory world. Nothing demanded attention through force. It invited awareness through presence. The lost language of perfumes and scents is not lost because it was unimportant. It is lost because it belonged to the breath, not the page. It lived between moments. And even now, in a world filled with artificial fragrance, the ancient instincts remain. Certain smells still calm us. Others disturb us without reason. We are responding to something older than memory, something learned before words. As the night continues, allow these thoughts to loosen. They do not need to stay formed. Like scent, they can dissolve into the background. History has done its work. You can rest now. And somewhere beyond time and text, the ancient world exhales once more.